Welcome to the Football Pink Podcast. I'm your host for today, Simon Parr, and with me as usual is Scott Parr. As ever, and we're here to discuss all things LFC. Obviously we're in pre-season, not lots going on, but we're starting to get some feedback and things that are happening over in the UK as regards pre-season. First news of the week is Divock Origi signed a new deal. What do you think, Scott?
Well, it was all up in the air, wasn't it, whether he was or wasn't going to sign a new deal. Were Liverpool just going to let him go at the end of the year on a free? I think they would have liked to get him on a new contract, which they have, but I don't think they would have, got on his back if he hadn't signed that new deal. But I think it's a good thing, really. I still think he'll go at the end of the season, end of next season, or the season coming, personally, but just means we'll get some dough for him.
Yeah, it just depends on how he performs throughout the rest of this year. We need a fourth striker. He remains that fourth striker. We see what happens with the young kids coming through. We will burn and stuff coming through from midfield. And we see, I'm sure Klopp's got a good plan in place. I think it guarantees that we're not going to be bringing in another big name striker now.
Big name, definitely doesn't guarantee we're going to bring a big name in.
I've seen a thing on ESPN, Steve Nicol not happy at all that we've re-signed. In his opinion, over the 5 years he's been at Liverpool, Origi's not improved. I disagree with that. I think he's spells out on loan have improved the way he plays. He's turned into this huge impact player. And I think he deserves all plaudits, to be honest. So I'm made up his mind.
For me, it's like a mentality thing. If we have, knowing now what he's done off the bench, whether it be, or starting against Barcelona off the bench, against Tottenham, even against Newcastle as well. If you're a defender and you see Divock come on, there's a big chance he's going to come on and make a difference.
And he's completely different to the rest of the front three. He's big and he's strong, as well as having a decent touch. But I think he gives centre-half something different to think about. And I think it's good to have. I'm pleased with it. So, Divock done, and the squad's back in training. They've, a lot of the younger lads have been in for a week, but this week we had more of the senior squad joining up, having had their summer holidays. So we got Big Verge back, Hendo, Genie, Trent, and a couple of others all joining back in at Melwood. Everyone looked really happy to see each other. Big pats on the back and slaps all round.
Just hugs, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I would do anything for one of them club hugs. I would do anything for it, honestly. Imagine going back for your first day back at school and your favourite teacher gives you a hug. Be unreal.
Yeah, be pretty damn good, to be fair. So the boys are in, and they've got their first pre-season game under the belt as well. None of the big names really involved. A game of two halves, literally. One team in the first half, one team in the second half at Tranmere. But to be fair, I think they give a good account of themselves from what I've seen. Thoughts?
It's just a run out, isn't it? I think it's more just not even really about the performance, because obviously a lot of that. Basically, you say some of them lads are playing for a chance to go to America on a pre-season tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you basically look at it from that point of view. With your few senior players thrown in, Milner, Lallana starting the first game with Mignolet. Second game, the likes of Joe Gomez and Matip come in. The second half, so...
Might as well be a second game.
Yeah, exactly, it's totally different. But like I said, got a few lads that really impressed me.
I really like the fact that, Klein, he pops up with a goal in the 6th minute.
Totally forget about it.
Nathaniel who, but he struck that clean, come in the edge of the box, hit it, beat the keeper at the near post.
Wouldn't have been everyone's tip for a first bet.
No,
first goal
not
scorer.
at all. So I think, and it's good for him. Yeah, and again, he's hanging around. There's no sign of him moving on. So there's our right back cover, and he seemed to be happy in what he was doing, happy with that. I don't think the keeper would have been happy with the way he was beat at that near side post, but maybe he wasn't expecting Klein to strike it, to be honest. I like Brewster's first goal. Milner drilled the ball right across the face of the goal, missed everybody, and I can't even remember who it was who then dinked it back in from the other side. and Brewster pops up with a headed goal.
I think it was Harry Wilson, but I think Brewster gives us something that we actually haven't got, just that natural number 9 that, you know, everyone, your stereotypical number 9, you know, stays in the 6-yard box and will score in the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we can utilise during the season, that, you know, Firmino isn't that type of striker.
Yeah.
Considering Firmino's not even really a striker. Origi's not that type of striker either. He reminds me like a Michael Owen. He'll just stay in the box and you give him one chance and he'll score.
Yeah, and he proved it at the weekend. But it's good to see. Good to see him get off the mark. And then he pops up with a second one. And again, it was a nice delivery on a plate from Milner, because Milner hits it from the edge of the box. Keeper parries away. And Brewster, as you say, classic number 9. You know, it could have been a John Aldridge goal, just arriving on the edge of the 6-yard box to pat it home off the keeper.
For me, it's like, you know, the number 9 role, like I said, we just haven't got one. So to have him come in and be able to do that, he could have been under a lot of pressure. After, you know, it was not signing a number 9. People saying we don't need one because we have him. You know, he just come back from an ACL and he hasn't even broken into the first team properly yet. So it could have been under a lot of pressure to score. So to get 2 so early on in the first half
sets him up for a nice trip to America.
Exactly, yeah.
I think he's going to enjoy that. So then, you know, half time, complete change of squad. So, you know, I would say in that first half, Mingale actually made some really good saves. You know, the Tranmere at times put some decent shots on goal, and Mingale was solid.
He's always been a good shot stopper, Mignolet. He always has been. The problem has been his footwork. He's always been good as a shot stopper. But it's the footwork that we've had the problems with. And, you know, it's the man he is. You know, we've been in some serious keeper troubles. Really, he could have easily probably maybe had another week off.
Yeah.
For the off season, but, you know, knowing the keeper troubles we have, he could have easily went, actually, you know what, I'm not going to play this game, but it just shows the man he is. He's happy to step in, and if he had to play a full game, he would have.
Yeah, but then this young kid comes in second half, Yaroth, don't even know anything about him, have to do a bit more research, but he seemed to do okay. And when you think he's got 2 young centre halves in front of him, and I was quite surprised that they brought on a big lad as a striker, and he was really strong, and he really gave our centre halves a real test. A lad called Miller, and he was driving through on goal and really giving, this is the Tranmere striker, and he was really giving our centre halves a hard time.
Well,
and they stood up to the challenge.
That was their first team. That was Tranmere's first team, and they were always going to be a lot bigger, stronger. Yeah,
but again, he never played the first half. This bloke came on, and he was like a battering ram, and it was good to see. To be honest, they stood up to it, and then Jones gets his first goal from Woodburn Cross.
I really like Curtis Jones. I really rate him as a player. Watching him with the under-18s and under-21s, I think he's an unreal player. I really want him to start breaking through. Someone I really look forward to seeing start breaking into the first team side.
Well, what I like there is that you've got the 2 of them playing either side on the midfield, and Woodburn from the right-hand side on the edge of the box lifts a lovely ball in, and Jones timing to run in on that back post to finish it. Perfect. They obviously play together really, really well, and that was showing that these 2 boys have linked and worked together for a long time and know what to expect of each other. So really, really promising. And then the goal of the game, which was absolutely unreal. I don't even know who put the over the top ball.
It was Matip.
Was it?
Matip. What do you mean? It's fantastic now when our centre backs can find a pass like that. You know, you look back to the Van Dijk one to Mane back in the Bayern Munich game. Just that, people expect us to catch him on the counter or passing around him or get him behind. But when we won and when we can go route one and just score out of nothing. And
this is what I say, Origi gives us something that we don't have by that big, strong centre half, striker coming through. And you can say it's a hoof ball, a long ball, route one, but actually it was a really, really good pass from movement from Origi to run onto. But not many people can kill a ball from height like that coming over the shoulder.
I think we know Klopp, and we've seen, if you've seen the game live and you've seen him on the touchline, he's very animated. If we were to hoof a ball long for a hopeful and hope for the best, then you're going to see Klopp screaming at them, knowing about it. So I don't think lads are going, unless it's completely under pressure and in danger. The ball doesn't go; it stays on the deck. But when it's on, it's on.
I'm glad it was Matip that delivered it, to be honest. So it's good to see. I just couldn't remember who it was.
Van Dijk's known for his passing and stuff like that, for being a centre half. But it's nice to know that even Matip, again, he's in prime position to take on the joint centre back role with Van Dijk.
So yeah, but it's good for Origi carrying on from Champions League glory to get his first goal. Brilliant. And again, I think he's set up for a really, really good tour of America now. And then the last goal, just a bit of a mad scramble in the box. Bobby Duncan just got the ball out from under his feet and put it in the back of the net.
Well, he's been scoring goals for absolute fun for the under-18s last season. He captained the under-18s to the FA Youth Cup win. But him and his strike partner, Gratzel, that got on as well. He was actually injured in the lead up to the goal, and by all accounts, nothing's really come out of what it is and how long. But Klopp's in an interview said it's serious, which is worrying.
Yeah, because again, he'd have been looking forward to a good tour.
He would be on the verge. Like I said, these two lads are under 18, so I don't know if they would have went on the tour personally. Obviously Gratzel's now and out, but it's a shame because, like I said, them two were scoring absolute fun in the under-18s last year. But it's nice to see Duncan get on the score sheet. You've seen how much it meant.
Yeah.
Steven Gerrard's cousin.
That's right.
Yeah, you know that.
And
so, Steven Gerrard's cousin. And if you look at the goal scorers, you got 3 local lads there that are on the score sheet. It's brilliant. 4 of the 6 goals are local lads. So
it just goes to show that the investment over the past few years in the academy is working. And to be fair, that goes as far back as Rafa, when the first changes in the academy started, that Klopp's picked up and continued. I think he's brought them closer together. Obviously, the move that's happening to take Melwood down to the academy and have more than the one location is a massive investment from the owners again. And I think
that's great. I think that's fantastic. Like I said, it's good for the young, even from the under-9 lads up to the under-18s walking in, but they're walking alongside the first team. Yeah. And it's actually something to look up to and go, wow. And it stops when you do go from the likes of Kirby, which is the academy, up to Melwood. It stops that big, oh my God, now I'm here, I'm in a totally different environment. Where if you get the push up to the first team, it's not a different environment. You're seeing these lads day in, day out. Okay, obviously you're going to be nervous because you're playing with them anyway, but it's not a new environment. You're seeing the lads day in, day out, so it's not as a big of a jump.
Yeah, I think they may. I don't know whether they're going to build a new actual change room, a facility, so a new Melwood on the far side of the academy. I can't see that they'll have the same changing rooms and that kind of thing. Which just then they'll see them on the ground. On the pitches.
Just seeing them in the ground, seeing them in the cafeteria when they're spending in between trainings or stuff like that, and just walking around the place and just being able to go hi as you're walking past. You know what I mean? And stops that being starstruck type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's great to see all that happening.
How about Divock getting swarmed after the game as well?
That was brilliant. Yeah.
Although I think I've seen one Mank page on Facebook, it was saying Liverpool fans stormed the pitch after beating Tranmere 6-0. They didn't post a photo, so a couple of people posted photos afterwards. It was about 6 and 7 year olds stormed the pitch, absolute hooligans. And it all went to one man, and it was Divock.
But to be honest, pre-season games, these early pre-season games at these grounds, that's what happens.
Well, I remember what they said. We went to Wrexham years and years ago, and there's people half time walking from one end to the other across the pitch.
Yeah, it's not like a Premier League game. It's not supposed to be. It's selected kids, young kids that don't get to games, their opportunity to see their heroes play. It's brilliant.
And there was a young Harvey Elliott in the stands.
Yes,
he was in the stands, so it looks like
it's a done deal.
It's going to be a done deal, and that will probably get hopefully announced in a week. And it shows shows the, we've talked about it before, but the dynasty that Klopp's trying to build and the players he's looking for this season.
It's huge. The ambition for the club is fantastic.
We talk about, there's loads of talk whether, Klopp's still got 3 years on his contract and he will see out them 3 years, don't get me wrong. But there's been a lot of talk how he hasn't looked to sign a new deal. I think an offer was placed on the table, and it's not to say he's rejected it, but he goes, I just don't want to look at it right now. I've got 3 years. I don't know what my headspace is going to be in 3 years. So he hasn't rejected it. He just put it to the back of his mind for now.
He could burn out.
But it shows that,
he
stayed at Mainz and Dortmund for 7 years. At the end of the 3-year contract, that's 7 years. So, but even that shows that even if he leaves tomorrow, next year, or the end of 3 years, he's not just going to leave us.
In the lurch, yeah. It'll be a planned
You look at Sir Alex. He left United in an awful position. And it looked like he jumped off a sinking ship, because if you look at players he was bringing in to help him win the league, he brought Van Persie in to help him win the league. He was there for the year that he was bought, the year they won the league for the last time. But there was no investment on younger kids coming through, and it's shown when they've gone 3 or 4 years now, even being
I sometimes
in contention.
think, on the United position, had they persevered with Moyes, rather than get the shotgun out early, whether things would have been a lot different. And bear in mind that Sir Alex picked Moyes. He was his choice to replace him. And I just think, had they persevered rather than go from manager to manager to manager, the amount they've paid out in compensation to managers would have been paid out to players and getting new players in.
I think they wanted the success straight away, and as soon as they didn't get that with Moyes, they thought, let's get a new guy in that will get the success next year. And looking back, obviously, it was never going to happen. Looking back, it probably was you're right, they probably should have. But then at the time, we're chanting, saying David Moyes is a footballing genius. We were going for the title.
We were loving it.
And he was the club was under a lot of pressure at the time, and they had to let him go.
I don't know. I just think they should have given him a bit more time, and it is what it is now. History can't be rewritten. So moving forwards, Liverpool are at Bradford today.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so
4 a.m. here, so nice and early.
Hopefully another good win, similar kind of setup, and we'll be able to talk about that next week. Haven't seen any team news, but I would
very similar.
Yeah, I think probably.
I guess it'll be exactly
teams.
the same, really.
Whether we'll see anything from the boys that have just come back into Preseason.
I guarantee we won't.
Yeah,
guarantee we won't.
So see how that goes, and then off to America they go. The games against Dortmund, Sevilla, Sporting Lisbon, Notre Dame, Fenway Park, and Yankee Stadium, all ahead, and waiting for them in the US. It's great to see them going over there, and I think the excitement over in the US is starting to build now. As ever, the information for the supporters is starting to come out. The information's come out this week. Vladimir Smitsa is going to be in Boston on the 19th of July doing a bit of an event with the supporters club there, which is good to hear.
Basically just talking about 2005.
Yeah, but it's
basically
great.
All he'll talk about.
It's fantastic. But he'll have his opinions about Madrid and everything else. It'll all be good. And then 21st and 24th of July, they got Sammy Hippier in New York I think it's at the New York at the 11th Street Bar. So Sammy and Patrick Berger doing the same kind of thing, and it'll be good. It's great to have the old players in town and talk.
I'd love to
Sammy.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we talked a few weeks ago. We had Matt on, and we talked about players coming out. We put on our Facebook page, and some people have put on who they'd like to see. Someone put Hippier.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Hippier would be fantastic because he would be able to bring. He was part of the team that brought that Liverpool side into the 21st century under Gerard Houllier, and just the story through that.
Yeah.
Would be, I reckon, it'll be really interesting, and as well as obviously the 2005 stuff. And then he was there as Hicks and Gillette started to degress type of thing. The club, be interesting to get his views and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, would be. I agree. Put that one on the list, Matt. Other things that have been announced: tour, the Anfield Rat Boys. They're doing 2 nights, one in Chicago, one in New York. And then they've got an event that they're not running themselves, but they're with someone else. Wonder who that might be. Not announced as yet. Boss haven't announced anything yet. I wonder. My guess is that Boss Night are doing a gig. Tour will be involved. I hope the Boss event is a really big success in America this year. Boss, when they went over on the last tour, they had Jamie up, and they were quite low-key events in the US. I don't think the Americans really knew what to expect. But I think now they've seen more. They've seen what happened in Kiev. They've seen what happened in Madrid. I think it'll be quite a big event, and it'll go off pretty well.
For those that don't know, I think we spoke about it before. The Anfield Rap is podcast service mainly. They do YouTube. They're on the radio back home in Liverpool. I do, blogs and write-ups as well. All on Liverpool. The biggest type of Liverpool source you can get. It's the podcast they do is really good. Recommend searching them up and subscribing to them. They're doing the live sessions in America, and then the Boss Night are the guys that we see all the videos of the fans going ape shit with the stage and the guy, the guitar, and that's the Boss Night. That's who they are, and that's what they're about.
Yeah, so hopefully the Americans take it to the heart.
If not, come to Adelaide next year and we'll show you.
That's it. We'll talk a bit more about other things, in and around Boss Night type things towards the end, but I think it'll be a really, really good event over in the US, and I'm looking forward to seeing the videos. I really am. Following on from that, talking about tours, we've obviously got United currently in Perth. They played last night in their game.
I just put a bet on Perth to win.
Did you? Wow. Oh,
didn't come out, obviously.
No, but look, there'll be some criticism that it was a bit of a flat game. Games always are. Pre-season games and tour games are generally flat.
Does it feel like there was much build up to this at all? I mean, I never think they were going to fill that stadium because it was in the Optus Stadium in Perth, which I don't know. I think it's around 80,000. It's pretty big.
I think it's only 60.
Is it only 60?
I think it's only 60,000.
I mean, it's still a big stadium. Obviously, Perth is a long way to go. When likes of Liverpool and when United were here a few years ago, back in 2013, it was in Sydney, so you have people from Melbourne, people from Adelaide, people from Queensland that can go. It's a 2-3 hour flight tops. Perth is a long way. It's like going from England to fucking Ukraine.
Istanbul.
Exactly. It is a long way away. It's about a 5 hour flight.
And people don't appreciate that from the UK.
So,
just how
and
far
it's
it is.
not cheap either. We talk about flights around Europe aren't that bad, going from country to country. Trying to get from a domestic flight here in Australia is fucking expensive, especially going to Perth. Yeah. And then with them, bumping prices up because they know there are going to be an influx of people that do come. So I think it was ever going to be a sellout, personally.
No,
especially the way United are. Let's say if United were English champions or European champions, they may have got more of a turn up.
But that said, we've got friends that have flown over from here to Perth. A big family group of friends have all gone over for the games.
And I'm sure they thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm sure they did, and quite right, they should. I think when your team's in town, you do the best to go and support them. I can't stand United, but I do think they should be supported.
And to be fair, if I had the spare cash, I probably would have went myself.
Yeah.
Because it's not very often you get to see a Premier League side, obviously.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So if I had the spare cash, you'd have a holiday in Brisbane for a few days and go watch the game.
Yeah, it's a game of football.
You would have easily got tickets.
Yeah, plenty of them.
I actually saw Rashford goal. It was a good goal, actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen the goals. I did have the game on going to bed last night.
The Rashford goal was just a turn and a hit, and that's where you see. Sometimes you're watching on the TV, the Premier League, and you go, yeah, it's a good goal, but you don't actually take into account how good of a goal it is without it hitting the top corner or dribbling past 10 players. But when you're playing against an A-League side, which obviously the level is a lot different, his back's to goal and he just turns and hits it. And from his age, he's way younger than me, and just to know where the goal is at that age on the edge of the box, it was just a great finish, and you just see the quality difference really.
Yeah. Well, I just think some of the media around it and the reaction from fans generally, I think we've got to be aware that politically, if that tour isn't a massive success, it could have a negative effect on whether Liverpool would come to Perth as we want, because the state government have to put cash in. And if they have put cash in to this trip, and people say, yeah, they should have brought Liverpool over, they should have done this, should have done that. Put that behind us. They brought United. And if they don't see it as a success, why will they spend the money twice on promises that can't be guaranteed of what the numbers will be? Now, as Liverpool fans, look, if they play in Perth, I'll be there. End of story. But I can't guarantee everybody else will. We think we'd sell the stadium out, but you don't know for certain. And it's going to cost a shitload of money to bring them. And as such, I don't want United to be a fantastic, super glowing, out of this world success, but we need it to be a commercial success to allow it to thrive and allow us to come, hopefully next year.
I think that's where some fan relation stuff comes in. We've seen the aeroplane go over while they were training the Liverpool six-time European. Find that funny. That was fantastic. Some people have their own opinions on it.
Some of the reaction to that was a bit crazy, to be honest.
I thought it was funny, bit of a laugh. Then I also saw a video of them putting a Liverpool sign over a United bit, or they've been taking photos of United fan things, where there have been a few signings from Legend and the line's not that big or whatever, and it was probably because it was really early or what have you, or outside the hotel there's not many people. I thought those are the type of things that will stop other people coming out, because Liverpool look at that and go, okay, they're doing that to United. United fans will do that to us, and it makes the club look bad. It's putting a negative effect on them, so why would they come out? So I just think, I mean, this isn't just to say it was, the Perth supporter group or the Perth fans or whatever, Liverpool fans, because I think the same would have been done if it was in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, whatever. I just think that some people just went a bit too far with the whole banter situation.
I actually loved the plane.
The plane was funny, 100%.
There's a difference between banter and belittling. And
there was one video, it was cringy as hell. It got, like I said, they got a flag or a banner or something.
Put it over.
They took it over and they put it over the United badge and they started singing "Who the fuck are Man United?"
Concentrate on Liverpool, not other
20
teams.
of them doing it. I was like, you have something better to do. Seriously.
See, I'd much preferred them to be in a pub near the stadium in Perth, singing Liverpool songs, and just have the Perth Stadium in the background, showing that Liverpool have strong support, singing about Liverpool, not singing about Man United.
Yeah, to me it was just a bit of bad taste, and it was just quite pathetic, to be honest with you. But the plane was hilarious, love that.
Yeah, big up to the lads that done the plane. Yeah, awesome. Okay, in other news, I don't really want to too much about United. We've got Leeds in the air en route as we speak. I saw a thing today.
Did they steal that plane or?
No, apparently it nearly crashed into a Russian plane on the video that was.
I didn't hear that.
Nah, there's a satellite picture where they have the mapping of the planes flying, and it just has two planes crossing over each other mid-air. But it's probably about 10,000 feet between the two. But it's just quite funny the way he said, near miss from the Leeds fans, nearly hitting the Russian plane. So, they're en route. It's going to be interesting to see how that game, and I think that game's probably going to be better well supported. I think the Leeds fans will get behind it.
They're playing Western Sydney, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we know Western Sydney are, what shall we say, fanatical bunch of fans.
They're good fans.
So they are going to put on an atmosphere anyway, no matter who they're playing. And
it's the first time Leeds have been out in a long, long time. So I do think the Leeds supporter base will be getting behind their team, because although they never made promotion,
it's a really big shame.
They're on the up.
Planning that, they've been on the up for years.
I know, but
they've choked at the final hurdle over and over again.
They choked, but in real terms, they had a good season. As a supporter base. We never won the Champions League when we went to Kiev, but we had a good season. We enjoyed the ride. And I think the Leeds supporters will have enjoyed last season, apart from the choke at the end. And that means they'll be up for it to do it all again.
See, I disagree.
And I think the tour this year will do well.
We look at the Kiev season as still a success. Even though we got beat by Madrid, it was still a success. They'll look at last season and it won't be a success at all for them. They should have got automatic promotion. They were top at Christmas, so were we. They were well clear of both Norwich and Sheffield United. They both leapfrogged them. And I knew if they did make the playoffs, they were always going to choke. And they didn't even get to choke in the final because they choked beforehand.
Yeah.
So I think that for them, it's like for us this year. People say for us this year, obviously relating this back to Liverpool, if we don't win the league, it's just another progression, it's another step. For me, if we don't win the league this year, it's a failure.
That's a big shout.
You talk about 3-year cycles on teams. This is our 3rd year.
Yeah.
You got the Kiev side. We got the side that should have won the league last year and won the Champions League. This is the year. After this, you need to really start looking to replace the likes of Sadio, Firmino, Salah. This is the year where everyone's in their prime, everyone's ready to go. This is the year we have to do it. It's a failure if we don't win the league this year.
See, I think we potentially, I hope I'm wrong, but I think potentially we won't win it this year. It'll be the year after. Because I think that City will be in further decline after next year. And the money they spend, they can't spend.
I don't want to win it in a City decline, though.
But
look, I do think in the next 5 years, I can see us winning the league 3 times because they do decline. City, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs are still trying to catch us, and City hopefully then start to decline because their cycle is finished.
Correct.
However, I don't want to win the title. Trust me, I'd love to take the title 3 out of the last 5 years, but I don't want to win the title in a City decline. I want to beat City when they're at the top of their game.
Oh, yeah, so do I, but it might not happen. And if it doesn't, I'll take the title on any grounds. Yeah, I'd have took the title the year Leicester won because everyone else cocked up and they were in disaster.
Talking about Leicester, have you seen their squad?
No, not recently.
Do you know their squad is so much better this year, now, even last year, but this year their squad is unreal. Their squad this year would smash the team that won the league for them back in 2015.
That's just the way it goes, isn't it?
Isn't that? And you look at some of the players they had back then, they had like Wes Morgan, Ujoa up top. Where the fuck is he playing now? Okay, you still got Vardy, but you got Maddison, Perez signed from Leicester, still got Albright and Vardy. They've got a bloody good squad.
So, what's your tip for them for next year then? Do you think they'll make top 4 if they're going to be that good?
They won't make top 4. I think they can sneak inside top 6. The top 4 will be the top 4 this year. That happened last year. Whatever order. I think Chelsea will still be. Chelsea still got a squad enough, and they're not in all over. Okay, they have the transfer ban, but they're not all over the shop. Like the likes of Arsenal are, and
I don't see
United
Chelsea
are.
doing top
I think
4.
United will drop out the top 6.
Yeah.
And Leicester will take over.
Okay, it's an interesting shout. You heard it here first. Put your money on, people. Scott called it. So if you lose your money, you know where to find it. Okay, other news. Crouchy retires.
To focus on that podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crouch Fest 2.0.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, if you haven't listened to the Peter Crouch podcast, do
it
yourself a favour.
Awesome.
Go have a listen. Start from the season because he does this massive live event.
He's done two seasons.
But to get the big live event, you have to go back and at least watch the start of this season to get the gags in the live event.
Yeah.
I recommend it. It's the best podcast around.
Yeah, he's just from a humour perspective, and again going back to Matt bringing people over, get Crouchy here. That would be the funniest event ever. Yeah,
Thanking him on the podcast.
Yeah, it would be unbelievable. The stories he tells, and he basically doesn't give a shit. He tells it as it is. So yeah, listen to his stories about the dressing rooms and what
Champions
goes on
League,
inside.
Sitting on the touchline, pretending to count money because you're in for a massive fortune because you're going into the next round,
even though you haven't got on the pitch.
Things like that.
Yeah, definitely worth a listen.
But I think it's obviously to relate more to family and stuff like that. I mean, you forget he's been playing the past few years. He had a good run at Stoke and then it started to decline. and then he's been at Burnley. You forget he's even at Burnley.
I think he had some offers on the table. Listening to the podcast, he was talking about what his plans were. But I think the success of the podcast this year has meant that he's got to really consider his future, kind of thing. And just to say, so everyone knows, it's the number one voted podcast on the BBC.
That's what I mean. So I think it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, he doesn't start hosting, but he starts, because there's two lads that are from actual work for BBC, can interview him, but speak to him about his stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts hosting to get other Premier League footballers on, type of thing.
Yeah.
And start running his own podcast.
And I think he'll start popping up on punditry on TV now. I think he's developed the skill set on the podcast to take that and start doing some punditry stuff. And I suspect you'll start seeing him more on Match of the Day and that kind of thing next year. So, looking forwards, we get through...
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Another news, do you see Accrington Stanley?
No?
And so they faced Olympique Marseille in a pre-season friendly. Marseille, you know, they've got the likes of Dimitri Payet, 13 French players. You know, you look at the history of Marseille, they have 3 or 4 Liga 1 titles. They have multiple, you know, I think they won 1 Champions League, they've made a UEFA Cup final. They actually got beat by them. Accrington Stanley actually went and beat Marseille.
Accrington Stanley!
Well, funny you say that. For those that don't know the advert, I recommend it. But they actually went on like a big street sign type of thing, the electrical sign to let you know maybe there's road work further down or whatever. It said Accrington Stanley. Who are they? I'll tell you who they are. They beat Marseille. It's absolutely brilliant. Amazing.
I'll have to find that.
Absolutely amazing. And
if you don't know the advert, look it up. It's just type into Google Accrington Stanley and milk advert.
We'll even try and get me mum on the podcast. She does a very good impression.
Yeah, you'll have to get a drunk first.
Sorry, carry on. It hit my head and I just didn't want to forget it.
Okay, I just wanted to give a shout out for a book that I've been reading. We have a dark period in our history, or we do have several, but our time under our previous owners, Hicks and Gillette, we had 44 months of hell with what we thought were going to be the American owners that had lots of money and were going to help us get out of the history that we'd had of not success and breaking in with United and Chelsea at the time. There's a guy called Brian Reid that's written a book. It's in the Sunday Times top sellers list called An Epic Swindle. And it tells the behind-the-scenes story of what went on with Hicks and Gillette. There's some great interviews with people who were directly involved. And to be honest, there's stuff in there that I'm absolutely shocked about. And poor old Rafa was caught in the middle of it all. And somehow we still got to European finals. So
he loves the bad owners, doesn't he, Rafa?
Yeah, but he literally had to make a choice, back one owner or the other, and he had the previous chairman on the other side. So they were literally had a completely divided boardroom. The two owners would not speak to each other or communicate with each other in any way, shape, or form. So if you sent one of them an email, the other one gave you earache that you never sent it to them instead. And why you telling him things you should be telling me? It was like schoolboy, childish
Hefty stuff, isn't it?
And it destroyed a club. You know,
we almost went into administration. You look at the likes of Bolton, Portsmouth, even Luton at a lower tier level. You know, they get point deduction, they can't afford wages, and then because they're already starting on like a negative 12 points, they end up getting relegated, and then they lose money, and it's just a downward spiral.
Just look at Adelaide City locally.
Exactly. You know, Portsmouth still haven't recovered from that. Leeds went down to the third tier of, they went from a Champions League semi-final to League 2 in the space of 3 years.
Yeah. All down
and they still
to
haven't recovered from that.
And we were so close to being Leeds.
We were so close to doing that. We could be doing this now, telling you how we just got promotion from the Championship or from promotion from League 1.
Anyway, I will do some snippets from this book in some of the podcasts, because some of the insight in there is really, really good. But for now, I think we'll call it a day.
That's about it.
You know where to find us. We're on social media. The Pink Podcast on Facebook,
Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
So look us up, give us a shout, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. A reminder of tell us who you would want to see here. Somebody popped up with a good shout about trying to bring managers over.
Yeah, that was
instead
very good
of. My question on that is, what former managers are still available to bring out that aren't already doing management kind of thing? They're still managing. So
bring Roy out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Matt, before we finish, if you're going to bring a coach out, it would never happen because of his conditions, but Gerard Houllier.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what he would have to say. It wouldn't happen because, he's had his conditions with his heart and stuff like that.
You don't know.
I would love to have Gerard Houllier out. Like, again, it's alongside the...
That's a good shout.
It's alongside the Sam Hippius. What did he thought when he saw Liverpool in the late 90s when he was joint with Roy Evans, to when he took over himself, and just like you said, bring in the whole start of the sports science stuff. The boys aren't allowed beers after games. They're not allowed all the fatty foods. Like I said, just bring the boys into the 21st century, and that went on to
no beers and fish and chips on the coach on the way home.
That's
after
it,
the game.
and not long shortly after we went on to win the treble. And I would love to know his thoughts on the Michael Owen situation, actually. Because, Michael Owen said, although he came through and he was doing really well, he should have been rested more. He should have been, what's the word? Been a bit...
Nurtured a little bit
Nurtured, there you go. Nurtured a bit more. Even though he was scoring goals for fun, it shouldn't have been starting that many games. He played over 100 games.
And he's never going to say no. He's going to argue at that age he wants to start. He wants to play.
Exactly. So I'd love to, get from his point, again, Gerard's point of view of what he would have to say about that and his comments. And again, not just at his time at Aston Villa as well, his condition.
Yeah.
He's the top of my list.
Very good shout, Mount, if you're listening. That's one.
Get it moving.
All right, we'll call it a day. This has been the Football Pink Podcast. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.